Welcome back to my channel, Mouseketeers. I'm Princess Minnie and I am here with something brand new for you today. A few weeks ago, I posted my first DIY no-sew ear tutorial, and I'm starting a new series, which is a bunch of episodes that will show you not necessarily how to make ears, because that's all in that video. Like, you can see it all there, and I will link that in the description box below. Or you can really use whatever ear making process that you prefer. I want to show you a series where I design ears. So you can either completely just take those designs and wear them in the park and get tons of compliments, or you can tweak them and just, say you're like, well, I like 80% of what Princess Minnie did, but no, 20% I'm gonna put my spin on it. Or you could completely just be like, well, that's not exactly for me, but I'm now inspired to go out and try something a little bit different for my ears. What I want you to know, if you have never made ears before, is that you don't need a sewing machine, you don't need any like fancy equipment, you don't even need like super fancy fabric, and it's not that expensive to make ears, at least after maybe an initial investment in fabric and some other materials, which you can find an entire list of materials that you would need in my first video. In this video, I'm going to share with you two new ear designs that I'm going to be wearing on my channel and also when I go on Disney vacations. The first is inspired by Disneyland. The second is inspired by Disney World. One is inspired by an attraction or an event, if you will. The other is inspired by a character. So stay tuned. At the very end of this video, I'm going to be wearing those ears and you'll see what you think. All right there, everybody. So the very first pair of ears I'm going to show you today, and we're going to design a little bit together. They're mostly put together, and these are what I'm calling my World of Color ears. These were completely inspired by this fabric that I found at Joann's Fabric. In fact, all of my fabric has come from Joann's. Sometimes I will buy on Etsy or Amazon, but I got very lucky today and found everything I needed at my local Joann's. And this fabric is a sequiny fabric, which if you're just starting making ears, I do not suggest starting with it. It is a harder to work with fabric and you will most likely burn yourself, but if you want to, go for it. It is like primarily gold, has a lot of gold sequins, but then it also kind of brings in red and green and blue sequins, and I just love how it glitters. And it just, as soon as I saw this, I thought of the Disneyland show World of Color, which I'm hoping to see when I go to Disneyland, so I'm definitely going to wear these ears when I go, as long as the show is up and running. Right now the show is closed until late June. Hopefully, fingers crossed, that it comes back on time. Anyway, so World of Color, so there's lots of colors in that show. I'm guessing, I haven't seen it obviously, but so I just did my basic work that I've shown you in a previous video. I will be linking that previous video tutorial here down below in the description box, but essentially I cut out my ears on cardboard, added backing to them, covered them in fabric, glued two sets of the ears together, and covered them in this gold trim. I also covered this headband, also bought at Joann's, in the same fabric and added the gold trim around the inside. If you watched that previous video, I promised you that once you do a few of these ears, you really get the hang of it and it's not so hard, and that is super true. So definitely give this a shot. Now, the only thing that these ears are missing, a bow. I particularly like doing all sequin ears the same color. If you've watched my videos, you've seen my blue sequin ears, and they're all blue on the front, all blue on the band, and all blue in the bow. So I'm going to be doing an all sequin bow with this World of Color fabric, and I'm going to show you that in just a second. And as you can see, I laid the face side of the fabric down. I like very, very big puffy bows, so not only did I make a huge rectangle of fabric, but I covered it with an almost equally as large piece of batting, and I also have this little strip of fabric that I'm going to be using to complete the bow, the part that ties around in the knot. So what I'm essentially going to do, and again, this is in my tutorial, I'm going to be taking each half of this fabric and I'm going to be meeting it in the center, bringing it up, bringing it down, and that's pretty much it. That's all it takes to make a bow, folks. I'm going to show you that in just a second. And here it is with the two sides folded from left to right, and then the other two sides folded from top to bottom. We have like a fabric square. Here is the face side of the fabric square. And all you have to do now is pinch it into a basic bow shape that you like. If you can't tell, this bow is going to be ginormous and puffy. So if you don't like that, then you would just cut yourself a smaller piece of fabric to start with, or not include the batting. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be adding right in these little openings on both sides of the openings of the bow, the front and the back. I'm going to be putting a little bit of hot glue. Then we're going to put on that fabric strip to make it look like a real bow. And here's the bow. You can see it's looking much more bow-like now. I also took that strip of fabric I showed you and I glued the two sides down, brought them in and glued them down so that way there was no ragged edge. And no one's going to notice if these are like slightly thicker here than here, so don't even worry about that because very little of the bow even gets shown. Now what you do is you glue right down onto the center of your bow, which I've already done, but then this step I really wanted to share with you because it can drastically change the shape of your bow. How tightly you pull your ribbon. So there we go, the bow is looking still fairly big, but if I pull the ribbon very tight, which I'm going to do, you drastically change the shape, and I'm digging this actually a lot. I really wanted to do this on a previous pair of ears, but I was trying to film it, and so my rose gold ears, so the bow didn't turn out exactly like I'd hoped. But so just play around with the bow and fluff it out and tighten things here and there until it's what you want it to be. All right, I'm going to glue this, show you the final product, then we're going to finish up our ears. And there it is, our final product. I'm pretty pleased with it, to be honest. And so all we need to do now is take our bow and place it on top of the ears. I'm going to glue it in the center onto the headband. I'm also going to glue down the ears, or the bow, right onto the ears so that way it stays nice and secure. I'm going to do that on both sides, and the top part will just be free falling. So the next time you see these ears, I will be wearing them, and you'll get to decide if you like these and want to try to make a pair for yourself. Okay, and the second pair of ears I'm going to show you today are all about a character from Walt Disney World, and I bet you can guess just by looking at these colors who this character is. Did you guess Figment? You're a genius. Good job. So I've done most of the work on these ears already. I plan on bringing you two more completely different looks for Figment ears because he's one of my favorite characters and his colors are amazing. But this is the first pair that I was just dying to complete. And honestly, it was all inspired because I found this purple bow at clearance for Joann's Fabric. I got so much of it for like $1 or something. It was crazy. And then I covered the headband in orange, as well as did little cutouts, and I just quickly sketched these out on the fabric and cut them out. They're just going to stick out a little bit, and I tacked those down with some craft glue. Hot glue would have definitely shown up and not looked so good with that. And then for the trim, I used the same that I used on the inside of my headbands all around the ear. It's beautiful gold trim. And I also covered the front of the ear in that gold trim as well. Now the back of these is going to look fairly basic. I'm not really that interested in the backs of ears. I know some people are. You could absolutely cover the back in the gold fabric as well, but that's just one extra step that I'm probably not going to take. Now, if you are familiar with Figment, you know he has one more color on his body, and that is light pink. So the light pink fabric you see underneath the ears is going to be the fabric that I use for the bow, but I wanted to give you one more helpful hint or tip, and that is buy fabric quarters from Joann's to experiment with, or even just for a small thing like a bow rather than a whole set of ears. They can be found on the wall in the fabric section, and they are very inexpensive, so it's a good thing to try out. That being said, unfortunately they come very creased. So I have my steamer going on right now. You could iron this or steam it, and I'm going to go do that just so my bow is a little bit prettier. Then just like with the World of Color ears, I'm going to cut out the fabric for the bow, put some batting on top of it, form my bow, and I'm going to show you that when it is all done. Okay, and here is our final pink bow. I again pulled the center very taut, and I also made sure to cut that fabric much smaller because I cut the overall bow much smaller as well. I had some pesky fabric sticking out of here, so I kind of just put some hot glue, tucked it in, Now it looks really good. All right, so again, I'm going to be putting a little glue on the underside of the bow, tacking it into the middle, and then I will be putting a little bit of glue on the underside of each bow part, and I will show you these when they are completely done. And here they are, my finished Figment ears. Now, you may have heard me talk about in some pin videos how I was opening some Figment pins to kind of place in the center of the bow. Here was my basic idea, so you can see if it's something you would like to do. You could insert the bow and hot glue it there. You really could do it anywhere you liked as well if you really wanted to do that. This was another option, the yellow pin. Or this small pin. Now, I'm actually thinking I'm not going to put a pin in the center of these ears. I had 2 other Figment ears in the works. I think I might need to come up with a third, completely different one as well, because I have those 3 Figment pins that I'd like to use, but I kind of just like these the way they are. So there you go. You never know how your ears are going to completely turn out until you're done. Okay, everybody, here we are. These are my World of Color ears. I am over the moon about them. They turned out exactly like how I wanted. And I had a few bumps along the way, like one side of the bow was crazy lopsided, but it was already glued down, and you just sometimes have to like tuck things in and play around with them, but you'll get there. And what I've learned from making ears is that nothing in this world is perfect, and honestly, just hand making something, you're gonna love them. Even if they don't even look that good, you're still gonna love them because they're yours and you made them, and it's gonna mean a whole lot to you. And there's so many great ear sellers out there. They're amazing, but there's something about making your own that is really special, especially if you come up with like from the design phase all the way to the end. That being said, nothing is ever going to be perfect, and you're probably the only person who's going to notice those small imperfections. Like, yeah, so if like one side of your bow is like this big and the other's like this big, yeah, somebody might notice that. But something like really small, like even just a piece of glue, or the bow is too big for your opinion, or something on the side just isn't laying right. Especially if it's with the headband. Like, look, can you even see my headband like at all? Pretty much no. So don't worry. I want you just to give something like this a shot. Try it out. I'll give you a close-up. Yep, these turned out exactly like I was hoping for. I'm just really thrilled. All right, next are going to be those Figment ones. Oh my god, you guys, these are so much fun. Like, they are so crazy and weird. I love them. I love the colors. Now, do they look crazy professional? No. But am I a professional ear maker who sells ears? No. So again, that homemade element, I'm always gonna love these even if I notice an imperfection, just because they're mine and I made them. And you're gonna feel the same way if you try it out. So let me give you a close-up. You can see the gold on the sides I really like. I thought about maybe doing like coloring on these, but I am not a great artist by any means, and I was worried I was just going to totally screw them up. But that's a little thing you could do. Alright, you're going to start seeing me wear these ears in my next like unboxing videos or subscription box videos or whatever it might be. Let me know in the comments below what you think about these 2 ears. Do you have a favorite of the World of Color versus Figment? This is the first Figment I'm going to be bringing you, but I'm going to make at least 2 more pairs of Figment ears so I can also use those pins I showed you. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you think you learned something from it, give it a thumbs up. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, maybe this is the first video you're watching, or maybe this is just your first ear tutorial you're watching, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you know the next time I bring you a video and you can, make your own ears for the parks. It's so much fun. It really is, guys. And again, if you go back and watch that first video, I give you so many tips and tricks to help you kind of ease through the process and not worry about it, and kind of learn from my mistakes I had made in the past. And I give you a lot of options for kind of making them your own as well. So, where are we? Our first ear tutorial. Oh, ear tutorial. And let me know in the comments below, who else would you like me to do? Something inspired by a Disney ride, something inspired by a Disney character. I can tell you ears I have coming up. Figment, classic Minnie, classic Mickey. I'm gonna have ears where I do Minnie on one half and Mickey on the other. I'm like crazy excited for those because I did a prototype and I think I can do them even better for you on camera. And also I have Coco ears coming up inspired by Day of the Dead sugar skulls. So I can't wait to show you those. But if you have any great ideas, put them in the comments down below because I definitely will try them out. So you can help me, I can help you. Let's all be one big family. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you real soon.